Hello friends, are you a fan of ARPGs? Well then do I have a game for you. I'd say I'm surprised if you haven't heard of Last Epoch in the recent years, or in the last 7 days given that their hype week and their massive patch notes showing off nothing but extremely positive changes and awesome things was floating around the internet all over the place. This is a game that already had a solid foundation to become one of the best ARPGs on the market by far, and this new patch is doing wonders to make it even better. So today, we're talking about why you should play Last Epoch. Last Epoch's new cycle, or dubbed Season 2 by the community, launches on Thursday, April 17th, and will be launching with a host of new mechanics, new systems, new items, new quality of life changes, and everything I could have asked for, other than launching sooner, because I don't know what to do with myself until it launches, so I'm just going to make a video telling you why you should also be as excited as I am. As someone who's been away from the game 6 months and returned, I can only say that you're in for a treat. Let's start with the basics of what Last Epoch has and how good it'll treat you. Right off the rip, the game has an entertaining campaign, and a story that'll keep you interested if you like story and progressing in ARPGs. And if you don't like that sort of thing, it offers multiple venues to play how you want, and how to complete the campaign or skip a lot of it if you're a veteran player, or even if it's your first cycle. It's all possible. Don't want to do all the side quests? You don't have to. Pick and choose based on unlocking passive and idle slots. Don't want to do the entire campaign on your second character? Don't have to do that either. Just grab some dungeon keys and slip on through progression. Want to just jump into endgame progression as fast as possible? Go for it. Jump right into the monolith system, which can be accessed as soon as you finish Act 2, though you may not survive right away. Something I appreciate about Last Epoch is the campaign and how it's approached. It never feels too old or too boring. It never slows me down unnecessarily, and never feels like a slog. I've played through it at least 20 times or so, and I never feel like I'm spinning my wheels or having my time wasted. Especially if I want to skip ahead, I'm always presented with the option to do so and approach the game in my own way. The campaign itself boasts 9 chapters, and someday down the line, 3 more to wrap up the story. It has one of the most impressive and interesting maps I've ever seen to go along with the time travel mechanic, and you'll rarely find yourself huffing and sighing at the thought of making an alt. Now the campaign is out of the way, let's talk about the real reason everyone plays these games: loot. Loot in Last Epoch is varied and interesting, with your usual array of white common items, blue magic items, yellow rare items, purple exalted items, which have a higher tier modifier available, and the nice golden brown unique color, which offers up powers or special effects that can give you a wide array of new abilities and change how your current existing abilities work, or even the damage type they do, or add bees. Because why not? The items themselves have affixes split into prefixes and suffixes. If you're a Path of Exile veteran, you'll know what that means. If not, it means you have up to 4 modifiers that can roll certain stats to help your player power. The loot in this game is straightforward and easy to understand. It becomes even easier as we delve into the next section tied to loot: crafting. Remember those affixes I mentioned? Well, what if you get an item with a stat that you want, like intellect, and it's got other stats that you want, but the roll on the intellect is really low? That's unfortunate. In any other game, that would mean you're just waiting forever for another item. In Last Epoch, it doesn't mean that. You see, if I want more intellect, I need intellect shards, and I get intellect shards from shattering or disenchanting an existing item with that stat. This is true of pretty much the majority, if not all, stats in the game. You shatter them in the forge, which you can reach just by pressing the F key and applying a rune of shattering, which destroys the whole item, giving you a random set of shards associated with the stats the item had. This allows you to be on the lookout for items with stats you need or want in the future, and to pick them up and disenchant them, and then craft them in the forge. Items have their own forging potential, which is a finite resource that varies based on item level and RNG, and you can consume this potential when adding shards to an item to upgrade it. That low int roll from earlier, we can add more into it and make it better for us, and we can do this with every other stat on the item provided we have the shards until it runs out of forging potential. Beyond this, there's other modifiers like glyphs that give you a chance to not consume forging potential, glyphs that randomly and chaotically reroll the stat, glyphs that conceal an affix allowing you to have 5 affixes on an item instead of 4, and these are just a few of the options. We haven't even gotten to the runes, where you can do things like upgrade an item into a random unique, add or reroll modifiers at random, or mirror an item at the cost of its remaining forging potential. The crafting system in Last Epoch is easy to approach. It doesn't require a PhD, it just requires some reading, experimentation, and gameplay to grasp how you can craft and upgrade your own gear as you go through the game. It's designed to be both beginner friendly and have a high ceiling of interaction as you go. It's easily one of, if not the best crafting systems available in any ARPG due to these factors. And we haven't even talked about legendary items. Well, legendary items are a tier above everything else, and the quick and easy way to explain it is uniques can drop with a stat called legendary potential. Legendary potential is from 1 to 4, and it'll say right on it. The points of legendary potential are consumed when putting this item, combined with an exalted item with 4 modifiers minimum, into the Eternity Cache at the end of the Temporal Sanctum dungeon. It then slams the exalted item onto the unique, then takes a random affix per legendary potential number and puts it onto the item, making a legendary item. So if you have 1 legendary potential, you get 1 of the 4 stats. If you have 4, you get all 4. And to make it better, in the new patch, you actually get to choose one of these affixes and guarantee that it makes it onto your new legendary item. Uniques aren't just uniques. They're always potentially more when they drop. It creates an incredibly fun and different way to play the endgame, knowing that every item could be something huge. It makes the endgame chase all that much better. There's plenty more loot, glyphs, runes, and cool things in the new season. I haven't even got onto the subject of idols, which have their own generic or class-specific effects and stat buffs, and are massively gaining new chase buffs and an enchanting system in the new season, but I won't linger on loot much longer. It's a lot to go over. It's fun to discover a lot of it for yourself. Just know it's an endless amount of possibility. Now, how could I go on about loot without talking about a loot filter? Loot filter, you might ask. How does that work? Well, it works easily. Last Epoch also boasts one of the easiest to use beginner-friendly loot filters I've ever had the pleasure of engaging with. Both as a new and veteran player, my options are endless. You can literally just press Shift plus F, or find it in your settings under gameplay. You can download and import filters from other players or friends, or you can simply make your own. In other games, this may sound like a daunting task you're not ready to take on, but let me assure you that in Last Epoch, they've got you covered. The filtering system is simple, straightforward, allows you to pick and choose everything you do or do not want to see based on things like item type and many other factors. You can hide items, you can make the text larger, you can change the color of the text and ensure that you see it when it drops. You can do whatever you want and what is important to you as someone seeing all the loot on the ground. I highly suggest reviewing this filter and feeling it out. As well, I know historically loot filters can be intimidating to new players. In this game, they won't let you down or make you feel like you aren't smart enough to make your own. I've made my own filter a dozen times and I feel like I get a better grasp of what I want and how I want to tune it every single time I use it. And the best part? If I'm playing the game and I decide, oh wait, I need this, or I don't want to see this anymore, I can just edit it right then and there in the game real time and it automatically updates and usually takes no time at all. So next up, let's talk about the other reason people play these games outside of loot: character power and progression. Items can't be the only way to scale up, can they? Well, in Last Epoch, your options for scaling and power are handled through both of your skills and your passive tree. Last Epoch has 5 classes: Primalist, Sentinel, Rogue, Mage, and Acolyte. Well, wait a minute, only 5? Each of those 5 classes has 3 masteries that specialize in certain things and have their own abilities that unlock as you go through their own individual passive trees. And even in these passive trees, you can branch out and take passive points from other masteries if they suit your build or what you want to do. You're able to vary a lot in the things you choose and even unlock abilities from other masteries by doing so. Each mastery has its own special key ability only it gets, as well as a special little bonus from selecting it. And with 3 masteries, we actually have what is essentially 15 classes in this game. The passives in Last Epoch are awesome. As you fill them out, you'll unlock abilities, as I mentioned, but the passives themselves can do some cool things. Several of them have special bonuses unlocked as you put enough points in them that can add new and interesting effects, changing how you might approach the passives that you pick up. You gain 1 passive each level and a total of 15 from the campaign and side quests in it. You can even go to an NPC and respec these at any time for a small gold cost and put them elsewhere if you decide there's other things you're interested in. There's even a button that respecs all of them at once. Now, the real meat of Last Epoch is in the abilities. Each ability has its own sub-skill tree. Starting as early as level 4, you get to specialize in one of your skills, up to 5 skills total by level 50. Once specialized, these skills slowly gain levels, as you gain experience from killing monsters and completing quests. Each level gives you a point to spend in their specialization tree up to level 20, and further increased by having plus to skill level on your gear. These trees are vast, varied, and always extremely interesting. You could pit 2 builds against each other that are using the same skill, but due to the specialization tree, it will look, act, and do something completely different. Some abilities have 3 or 5 or even more variations on their usage for the same type of build. This lets you even further change your progression, your power, your damage type, and the way the ability is used and played. Everything about it can be altered. It's not always just more damage here, more damage there. It's sometimes your ability now does cold, or bleeds, or now spins in a circle, or teleports you when you cast it. There's so many options I could never cover it in a single video. It may seem overwhelming, but the system itself is very easy to use, and you aren't locked into these decisions ever. You can despecialize or respec a skill for free at any time, though you will have to level up the new skill you select in its place. It does have minimum levels that it hits as you level up your character, giving you initial points to put in right away, and even accelerated EXP as you get further into your leveling progress, so it never feels like you're starting over from 0 or totally boned. That's the great part of character progression in Last Epoch. When you combine the items and the uniques and the affixes and the great skill specialization system, you get great and extreme build variety and have no issues finding something that suits you somewhere. Every playstyle is supported, fun, and powerful in its own way. That's the other great thing about Last Epoch when it comes to characters. Very few, if any, builds will completely brick and be incapable of progressing through the campaign or early monoliths. You and many other people could log in right now, wing it off of what looks good and is fun, and still find your way through. The game isn't a cakewalk and it's not super easy, but it's not overly punishing and allows you a freedom of choice, expression, and ideas. Or you could just grab a build from a website or a content creator and have fun that way. It's totally up to you, friend. Play how you like. That's what they want. So loot's great. Characters are good. Well, what about the game? You said the campaign is fun, but let's talk about what ARPG veterans actually care about. let's talk about the endgame. The best way I can shortly explain the endgame system of Last Epoch, it is called monoliths. Monoliths which are receiving an insane amount of quality of life as well as their own, so to speak, atlas tree for Path of Exile veterans, which is essentially a giant passive tree that allows you to modify, change, add mechanics and systems to your monoliths as you progress. This is new in the 1.2 cycle patch coming on the 17th. Monoliths themselves are a connecting web system. You go from one to the other along a connected web in each timeline. Each echo in the monoliths has its own stability count, and as you clear these echoes, your stability count goes up, eventually allowing you to kill the timeline boss for that specific timeline and either progress or just farm it for loot. It gives you options for blessings as well, another endgame point of power that gives you things like more stats, more drop chance for specific items and shards, or more golden experience. Just another fun little thing to chase and always keep improving your character. Each timeline has its own boss, and when you get further into the monolith system, which is called empowered monoliths, you'll be farming them and the harbingers that accompany them for even more loot, experience, and fun. And harbingers are their own system leading to the uber boss of the game. The monolith system is easy enough to understand, approachable, doesn't cost anything, it just lets you pick a reward type and start blasting. The objective of monolith varies but is often kill monsters to reveal the location of a boss, get ambushed, open a gate that spawns monsters and kill them, kill some spires, as well as several other things being added in the new patch. Don't worry, there's nothing like take a box to a podium and wait for it to open a door. We don't do that here. Completing an echo unlocks connected echoes and so on and so on. Each echo has its own random modifier to make mobs stronger and increase loot or experience, and these scale up the further out you get. There's even special echoes like a beacon that reveals echoes in a wide area, or echoes that reroll ones around you, or even reset ones you've already completed so you can do them again and go backwards. Or even the Shade of Orbis boss that resets the entire timeline echo web and increases corruption. We did just talk about corruption, so let's go into that. That's one of the major systems with monoliths. Corruption is a scaling number, further increasing difficulty of monsters and echoes, as well as increasing the loot and experience you get. It's a numerical slider you can raise or lower depending on what you want in these echoes, and allows you to keep scaling difficulty for more reward, which in my opinion is how all ARPGs should work. Harder the content, bigger the loot and XP. And there's also going to be a whole new system of Weaver echoes added with the new patch, which also adds procedurally generated dungeons and areas into your echoes, a fantastic and interesting option that gives great rewards. This once more is compounding on existing endgame systems and giving us even more things to do and chase after as we play through the endgame loop. Now, if you're an ARPG veteran, you're going to be asking me, well, what about trade? Or what if I don't like trade? What about SSF or solo self-found? What about you get both? And they're better in this game than other games. You select one of two factions when you reach Act 9. You either pick the Merchant's Guild or Circle of Fortune. These factions have their own reputation, or rather favor, that you gain and raise to level up what they offer and what you can do, as well as their own mechanics. Merchant's Guild, if you're a trade gamer and economy enjoyer, lets you head to the bazaar where you can spend some favor and your hard-earned gold to list and sell items with other players. Yes, it's an auction house. If you've seen my other videos, you know how much I love this in an ARPG, and I think that they should all have one. Last Epoch does, and it makes it easy to buy and sell items of your choice. Don't want to engage with trade? Well, Circle of Fortune is for you. But this isn't just regular SSF or solo play, because it offers you special perks like a full set dropping when one piece would drop, or extra loot dropping at all times, or fun little other extra features involving all sorts of loot drops, runes, and good things. It also offers the prophecy system, where using your favor you can roll and select prophecies that require you to do something like kill a boss or a certain number of enemies, and they'll drop a bunch of a type of an item, allowing you to target farm for uniques or uniques of a specific type, or even new uniques with legendary potential, or bases, or anything you might be looking for. Now, I use solo self-found very lightly here. You can be either of these factions and still play with other players. You could even play with people of the opposite faction. The only limiter here is items bought from the bazaar or items found via Circle of Fortune prophecies or perks have markers on them, only allowing someone of that faction and faction rank to use them. Factions are selected per character, however, so you could have multiple characters in multiple factions. And on the plus side, you can just swap factions whenever you want, though you do have to re-level the faction. Now, as far as trading outside of this, it's a bit different, but I want to include it here. Trading in this game is a gifting system. You right-click someone in your party, hit gift, put that item in, and give it to them. There's two situations where you can do this. One is if the item dropped while they were in the game with you or in the area with you, like Diablo 3. The other one is resonances. Resonances are an item that will drop sometimes when you're playing with somebody for an elongated amount of time, usually an hour or two. The resonance itself will have their name on it and just go into a special inventory. So what does that mean? Well, it means if you play with your friend for 5 hours and he has to go to bed, right as he logs off, you drop the unique he needs and he's asleep. Well, you have a resonance from him when you play together. You can just gift it to him using that. This is a limiter on a normal trade system in ARPGs, but it's to prevent a lot of bad actors and bad faith players. And it works pretty well, and it's kind of fun. Between this and the factions, I think it's a very unique system, and I think it works well because it allows people to engage in their own style of gameplay without limiting who they can play with. And if you're a true full-on SSF gamer, there is a solo self-found option you can click when creating a character so you can avoid any concept of multiplayer. On the subject of multiplayer, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, multiplayer in this game is fantastic. It's better than most ARPGs by far. It features the ability at any time to click on a little star icon on your party member's portrait and instantly open a portal to them. This ability has no cooldown. It is an amazing feature if you plan to tackle the campaign or endgame and has a lot of great uses. It's a feature that keeps you from feeling as if your build is too slow to play with your friends like other ARPGs. As well as monster health in multiplayer also does not seem to scale as heavily as other games, and damage doesn't seem to scale at all. Overall, playing with your friends just seems to be an advantage and a lot of fun. You can even synergize many builds to work together for greater damage and survivability using debuffs and buffs. It's just quality collaborative gameplay, and to top everything I've mentioned thus far, the game is only $35 USD, cheaper than many games on the market and offering far more content than most, as well as free updates. The only in-game purchases are MTX and nothing involving player power or QOL. There's a million things to cover in this game, and I haven't even touched on them all, and with the new patch there's going to be even more that I can't fit into one video, and I was trying to keep this video short. My experience with Last Epoch on a personal level was I always thought it was an incredible game with a solid foundation. It just needed something I couldn't put my finger on at the time. And now with this new upcoming patch, I'm seeing it get exactly what it needs with its massively expanded new systems and endgame. The team behind it at 11th Hour Games are passionate, wonderful people who even hang out and chat me up in my stream. Kind souls that ask me what I'm excited for, engage with the community, listen to player feedback, just gamers that want to make a good game for other gamers. I've had a great time engaging with them. I'm more than excited to log into this game on the 17th and sink an unhealthy and unreasonable amount of hours into it while my chat makes fun of me for going too slow or dying, such as the life of a cat trying to play video games on the internet. Last Epoch is easily shaping up to be my favorite ARPG, up there with Path of Exile and Hero Siege, which is something I don't say lightly. This game is incredible and feels like the perfect middle ground for players that feel Diablo 4 is not enough and Path of Exile is too much, yet it still boasts simplicity and complexity where it's needed without ever being too much of either. I can't recommend this game enough if you're an ARPG veteran or someone who's interested in the genre and the hours of fun it offers. The game is great, it's going to get better, and the team behind it want what's best for players to have fun. That's why you should play Last Epoch, in the opinion of a cat. Thank you for watching. I'm Sleepy Cat, and I'm tired. Good night.